Hello! Today we are going to talk about a special molecule in our cells called ATP. ATP is short for Adenosine Triphosphate, and that's the molecule that our cells use for energy. It is a form of short-term energy storage. Short-term because it's always being recycled between ATP and ADP. So this is what a molecule of ATP looks like, and there are a couple of things that we need to focus on here. So let's start with A. We have 3 phosphate groups. We have an outer phosphate, a middle phosphate, and then our inner phosphate. This molecule is ribose. Ribose ends in OSE, so we know that it's a carbohydrate. And then this molecule is called adenine. Adenine and ribose combined make the molecule adenosine. So we now see where the name comes from. We have adenosine, 1, 2, 3, triphosphate. We're going to number our phosphates 1, 2, and 3, with 3 being our outer phosphate. And it's important to note that when bonds break, they release energy. The most energy is held in this last bond of ATP. It's a weak bond, so it's very weak, unstable, and easily broken. It also holds the most energy of the 3 bonds. Now, ATP, when it's used, is going to be broken down into ADP. So let's label these. ATP, ADP. For the bond to be broken, water needs to be added. The bond will break. When this bond breaks, that last phosphate is removed. So we're going to call it P3 is removed. And energy is released. When the bond breaks and energy is released, we get the molecule adenosine diphosphate. So di means 2, tri means 3. Now we're only going to have 2 phosphates. So we still have our ribose, we still have our adenine. These 2 together make adenosine. So we have adenosine, 1, 2, phosphate, diphosphate. Because our body is constantly making ATP, it's very easy to add that 3rd phosphate back on to the diphosphate molecule to continue this cycle. So to do this, we have to add the 3rd phosphate back, This builds a bond. When a bond is built, energy is stored. And when this happens, water is released as a byproduct. This energy is being used by the cells through the process called metabolism. So our energy is being used by cells. That's called metabolism. Remember that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only cycled. And we replace these molecules with the food that we eat. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about ATP. Oh dear, it bled through. All of our cells require energy to perform their basic processes. We get this energy from eating, so it comes from the biomolecules in our food. These are things like carbs, lipids, proteins. Some things get these molecules from the sun, like plants, because they make their own food. Chemical energy is stored in the bonds of molecules, particularly in the bonds of ATP. So ATP is our short-term energy storage for our cells. And it's constantly being broken down into ADP and then rebuilt into ATP. It stands for Adenosine Triphosphate. This is what the molecule looks like. Again, we have our ribose. We have an adenine. These two make up adenosine. And then we have our phosphates. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. The most energy is stored in that third phosphate bond. So to release energy from these bonds, they have to be broken by water. To store energy in these bonds, a bond actually has to be built. Alright, that is all for today. I'll see you later.